I want to take a moment before we do anything else, though, to talk again about the story which was our main news just a few weeks ago on the 11th of October. Now, this was the announcement that doctors in Scotland, Wales and England would be able to prescribe cannabis products to patients from November the 1st. The announcement followed high-profile cases of young people with epilepsy who found that cannabis oil helped them, but if they took it, they got into trouble with the authorities. In February, the case of 6-year-old Alfie Dingley, who has severe epilepsy, was raised in Parliament and the next day at Prime Minister's questions.
Prime Minister.
I know that the sympathies of the members across the House are with Alfie and his family as he's undergoing treatment. And of course, people with chronic pain and debilitating illnesses, we recognise, will always look to alleviate their symptoms. But we do need to ensure that if we are going to if medicines are going to be permitted to be used, that they have been through the most rigorous testing, that we apply the most rigorous standards before those drugs are used. And we believe that cannabis should be subjected to the same regulations that apply to all medicines in the United Kingdom.
Theresa May in February. In the summer, the case of a 12-year-old boy, Billy Caldwell, made headlines. After his prescription was stopped by his doctor, his mum Charlotte flew to Canada to get some cannabis oil and tried to bring it back into the country. It was confiscated at Heathrow.
It's a very, very sad day in our country here in this, 2018, that us parents who have children with this absolutely brutal condition, which is epilepsy, that we have to flee our own country to get medicine for our children, medicine that they desperately need to keep it alive. And all we're doing is, this medicine is their anti-epileptic medication. It is nothing else for us. These, not just for Billy, but every other single child in our country deserves this medicine. And let me tell you something now, we will not stop. We are not going to stop. We are not going to give up.
And they didn't give up. And as a result of their campaigning, the Home Secretary announced an expert review, and the experts told him what to do. He decided, based on the evidence, that medicinal cannabis products could be reclassified. On October the 11th, the decision was announced that on November the 1st, this would be legal and available for all of these people finally to use it. And on this programme, on October the 11th, we heard from the woman you just heard from there, Charlotte Caldwell.
We're just crying happy tears, absolutely overwhelmed. It's just incredible news for the people in the United Kingdom, absolutely incredible. The impact that this will have, not only for the people in Scotland, Wales and England, but the people of Northern Ireland, will just be incredible, absolutely incredible.
The government was clear it would be down to doctors to make the decisions on treatment.
Doctors need to use their clinical judgment, and of course having guidance in place helps, but ultimately the need to treat an individual person and the responsibility for that falls on the shoulders of a doctor. That's what they do.
England's Health Secretary Matt Hancock there. And so we arrive at today, November the 1st, when across Britain medicinal cannabis is available for the first time. Except, we've been told that to all intents and purposes, it isn't. People who want it and need it can't get it. Have a listen to Robin Emerson. His daughter, Georgia, has severe epilepsy.
Nobody is getting access across the United Kingdom. If anybody goes on to any social media feed, you will see right across the United Kingdom, nobody is getting access. Every clinician is saying no. The problem is they're worried. They've been sent guidelines from places like the British Neurology Society has put out guidelines to all the neurologists and basically scared the life out of these people.
What's in the guidelines that's scaring neurologists?
It's telling them that they have to take total responsibility for the medication, that it's unlicensed. It's telling them that every other medication, pharmaceutical drug, must be tried first. And it's telling them if you do decide to go ahead, on the very extreme cases, the drug that you should be used is Epidiolex. Epidiolex has next to zero THC and was legal long before the 1st of November. It's just an unlicensed pharmaceutical grade CBD that you can buy, and equivalent to what you could buy on the shelf.
So the advice to specialists is use medicinal cannabis only as a last resort when you've tried everything else, and when you do, it's unlicensed?
Exactly.
But I thought the whole point was it is licensed now.
There's no medication that is licensed. There's two main medications that are have been used in other countries. Bedrocan and Tilray are the two that are mainly used. They have the THC products, both Alfie and Billy that would have been in the news, are both on, one's on Bedrocan, the other one's on Tilray. Similar products which have a THC content in it. They have put the big line that they're using is that THC can cause damage to growing brains. This is what is terrifying clinicians. They're saying this can cause damage, it's psychoactive, and that statement is just totally false. That is based on a study that was done in America on psychoactive drugs for recreational use, for cross use, for high THC. The THC levels in these medications are so low. They won't give anybody a high. It doesn't have that effect. So for them to put this statement out, it's totally false. And I've been speaking this morning to Canada and the clinicians in Canada who are horrified by what has been put out. Because it's just factually incorrect. You've been to the hospital in London to talk about George's treatment. What's the view there? Well, we are lucky that George's neurologist is supportive. She is worried. She's worried because of what the guidelines have been said. She's worried that will she get in trouble from the GMC. But she realises that George's quality of life is next to zero. She realises that the current medication that George is on is killing her. That is factual. So we know that. So this is George's last chance. This is her chance for me to save my child. So she is supportive of that, but they're now trying to work out as a hospital. It's not an NHS hospital. It's outside the NHS, and they are still trying to work out how they can actually do it. Because we couldn't get help in any NHS hospital, so we went outside the NHS, and we do have a supportive neurologist, but she is too worried of how to do this. How much time have you got? George is having multiple seizures every day, and she's not in a good place. Georgia was in intensive care twice last summer. We were told Georgia was dying. We were told we were going to lose her. It's like living with a ticking time bomb. That's how epilepsy is. It can go at any second, and when that goes, you're in intensive care, you're in incubation, you're in life support fighting, and Georgia's there trying to fight for her life, and when there's a medication there that can potentially solve this, and we can see that, I'm in touch with various families globally, and there's one family in Australia who has, for example, that has the child has the exact same medical condition as Georgia, and she's now been on medicinal cannabis 14 months and is seizure free. I've had seizure free 14 months, and not only is she seizure free, but because she's come off all her other medications, her development has leaped forwards. So she can crawl, she can sit up, she's starting to even speak, all that Georgia can't do. And Georgia can't do it because she's so heavily sedated. And they're using these terminologies to scare people and out to the media. Said it's unlicensed medication, but I think it's important to get out there too that a lot of the medications that are used right across the UK are for epilepsy and cancers and other conditions are unlicensed. So George is on an example. She's on a drug called chlorohydrate. That drug's banned in the US because it's so dangerous. That's unlicensed for use in the United Kingdom for as an anticonvulsant. It has only got anecdotal evidence. It is no different than the category that medicinal cannabis is in now. It is a special. It is ordered in just for Georgia. It is no different, but that seems to be okay, and clinicians freely do that across the UK, use chloro, but they won't use medicinal cannabis, and it's all because of this word cannabis. And that's what is at the heart of this, is that it's uneducated. Unfortunately, it's difficult to say, but unfortunately our doctors that we rely on and our clinicians are uneducated on this matter. They have never been taught this, and that is the problem.
How do you cope with the frustration with all this? Because you have a prize in sight, and today should have been the day that prize was attainable, and it's the most valuable prize a father can give his child, the prospect of improved health.
I think it's even worse today than it was, the feeling inside me, because now the Conservative government came forward, and the Home Secretary, this announcement that and they got a lot of media out of it, that they were helping these sick children and everything was going to be okay, and he seen there was need for rescheduling. Rescheduling might as well not have took place, because it's smoke and mirrors. That's exactly what it is. Because
do you think it's deliberate, though? I mean,
I can't understand how they cannot see it. There has to be, if somebody is telling me that a conversation has not happened between the Home Secretary and the Minister for Health, and that has not took place, and the Minister of Health be well aware that there is thousands of people across the UK that'll be looking access today. The Minister of Health will be well aware of that, and he'll also be aware that the guidelines that have went out, and there is no, the closest we have to the next set of guidelines is in a year's time, in October 2019, when the NICE guidelines are going to be complete. But that's a long way off to the next section. So this announcement that these children in need, we have to be clear, there's a lot of children and there's a lot of adults who are in extremely bad situations.
Robin Emerson, with what he's going through, along with his daughter Georgia, he says there are thousands of people who are affected by this today, and that as far as he understands it, nobody is getting this medicinal cannabis, this cannabis oil. I'd love to hear from you if you have experience in this area. I hope it's not as grim as what Robin's going through. 0345 6060 973, or maybe you can help us because you are a neurologist, you work in this field. Is it really as difficult as Robin Emerson was talking about? It sounds like, from his description, that parents in his position and adults are being made to, their doctors are being made to jump through so many hoops that this much ballyhooed announcement, which the government made just a few weeks ago to huge headlines, is in practice not helping anybody at all, and is maybe being made so difficult that it can't help anybody. Is that really where we are? 0345 6060 973, if you can help me understand what's going on here today. We're on text 84850. Much more on this ahead. 5:17 now. Here's Lisa with the headlines.